and welcome back to the Shifting Schools podcast. My name is Trisha Friedman, and for this off-the-cuff episode, I'm going to be flying the plane on my own. Jeff is taking this week to do some camping to recharge his batteries. Listeners, if you happen to have a great recommendation for ways to recharge the tank, things that you think are important to be doing over your summer holiday break, share those with us. We do have a special newsletter edition going out to our free Shifting Schools newsletter audience, all about some teacher tried and tested favorite things to do over the break. Today, we're going to be exploring the vital connection between AI literacy and LGBTQ plus inclusion as part of our Shifting Schools launching into June Pride Month. I'm going to be giving you a preview of our latest free guide, which you'll be able to find in the show notes of this episode. Now, at the very back of that free guide, you're going to find a special promo code to take $25 off of our media literacy and LGBTQ inclusion course. And I want to remind you that with every single purchase of that course, we donate $10 to the nonprofit organization Pride and Less Prejudice. We are always proud to partner with them. They make inclusive books available to primary schools all across North America. And this Saturday, June 3rd, they have a spectacular fundraiser event on. It's a special virtual panel on representation in the media. So folks, those of you who may have been big fans of the TV series Glee, you need to know that star of that show, Chris Colfer, is one of the celebrity panelists. I mention this because we at Shifting Schools are so excited to be giving away 2 free seats to the virtual event. So, how do you enter to win one of those 2 seats? If you download our free guide, AI Literacy and LGBTQ plus Inclusion, again, link to that's in the show notes, today, before 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you automatically enter to win. If you already happen to download that guide, you can also enter to win by just dropping me an email. My email address is in the show notes. It's Tricia, Tricia, @shiftingschools.com. Just put in the subject line, enter to win. Again, the deadline for that is by 9 p.m. this evening, Eastern Standard Time. You'll be able to learn all about that event from Pride and Less Prejudice by also heading over to the show notes. So, back to the free guide. As educators, we have the power to foster understanding, acceptance, and empathy among our students. It's perhaps part of what makes our job so powerful. And folks, I think in the coming academic year, that very much is going to need us to include embracing the concept of AI literacy. Now, maybe you are thinking, Tricia, what exactly is AI literacy? Inside the free guide, there are a bunch of resources for you and your peers to explore in coming to terms with that definition. But in brief, it's the ability to understand, navigate, and critically engage with artificial intelligence technologies. AI literacy asks us to recognize the potential biases embedded within AI systems. It also asks us to actively shape and influence these technologies so that they can potentially promote inclusivity, equality, respect. And that, of course, includes the LGBTQ plus community. With all technology, we need to use our voice in asking critical questions that keep platforms and organizations accountable. An example of this might be creating a routine in your class that engages with OpenAI. Those are the folks behind ChatGPT. That might mean perhaps once a week as a class, you co-author an email to OpenAI reporting any biases you've noticed. Might you make sure that families in your community know how to report bias? Could you have a running document where students can report what they've noticed and you can talk about whether or not it needs to be reported? AI literacy helps us understand that ChatGPT as a language model is trained on vast amounts of text data. As educators, We can ensure that the data used to train these models reflects diverse voices, experiences, and perspectives. By doing so, we can create AI systems that respect and celebrate the full diversity of humanity. Now, I know that sounds like a huge undertaking, but if each of us is helping students understand the influence we can have, it becomes a little bit less aspirational. Last April, the Washington Post actually did an investigation to learn more about the websites that are being used by AI chatbots to help them have that illusion of sounding human. I'm going to link to that full article in the show notes. The article is called Inside the Secret List of Websites That Make AI like ChatGPT Sound Smart. As part of their investigation, they learned that Wikipedia happens to be a leading source for AI chatbots. Now, listeners, can you guess why that might be an issue? Well, research has shown, and again, I'll be sure to link to this in the show notes, that while yes, Wikipedia is in fact the largest encyclopedia ever created, there are only 18% of the biographies on Wikipedia's English language site are of women. So what does that mean when we think about Wikipedia being a massive source for AI chatbots? Well, AI literacy wants us to dig into questions like that, and that's why our Pride framework leads with the P standing for Provoke Conversations. The framework is yours to download inside the free guide, and the guide has plenty of curated resources that are going to help you fuel conversations on your campus. Pride Month is an opportune time to highlight the importance of AI literacy in advancing LGBTQ+ inclusion. AI algorithms can either reinforce or challenge societal biases, and we can foster conversations that encourage students to question and understand how AI systems work. And we know that ChatGPT can produce misinformation. We know that we want to be cultivating a critical mindset when it comes to consuming content from any technology. So we need to help students learn and understand how to assess what it is that generative AI tools are giving to us. One of my favorite resources that you'll be able to find inside the free guide is a link to what I think is a really, really cool comparison tool. And this comes to us courtesy of the folks at Hugging Face, an organization that's really digging into all things artificial intelligence. The tool is called the Diffusion Bias Explorer. And this is looking at text-to-image models, those like Stable Diffusion and DALL-E 2. So what you and your students can do when you use their Diffusion Bias Explorer is you can look at two different text-to-image models side by side. You can put in different descriptors, different professions. So I might select professor or doctor, and perhaps I choose to compare compassionate professors with assertive professors, and I can see what DALL-E 2 generates compared to Stable Diffusion. And you can get a sense of some of the gender bias that's baked into text-to-image generative tools. There's a lot of playing around that you can do with that Diffusion Bias Explorer. It's a great conversation starter. Again, you'll find the link to that tool inside the free guide. This guide really is an invitation and a call to action. Let's educate ourselves and our students about the ethical considerations and potential biases within AI systems. By doing so, we're going to create an environment where AI is held accountable and we can be thinking of ways to use it for good. One of the examples that you'll find inside the guide tells you about how the Trevor Project, who is a leading LGBTQ+ organization, has leveraged AI to help youth in crisis. Months back, when Jeff and I started sharing some free resources, when we started offering paid asynchronous, in-person, and virtual workshops on generative AI, We kept hearing from teachers that they really appreciated that we were bringing and centering equity at the heart of these conversations about generative AI. Jeff and I are going to continue to do that because we know that technology, it informs and it has huge impact that goes beyond the classroom. If you or your peers explore this new free guide and you'd like to share more about what you're doing with that learning, Jeff and I love hearing from listeners like you. You can head over to shiftingschools.com and send us a voice memo. I really hope that this new free guide helps you and your campus do some critical learning for Pride Month. Again, the guide is AI literacy and LGBTQ plus inclusion, and you're going to find it over there in the show notes. See you again next week.